With you guys today, we're taking a look at the ACEMAGICIAN TK11-A0. This mini PC was sent to me for free for review. All the opinions are my own and no one is reviewing this video before it's released. This is exactly what you can get inside the box if you purchase this one. You get your power brick, and this is the adapter here. 19 volts, 3.42 amps and 64.98 watts is the output for that power brick. So let's take a look here at the cable. We've got a HDMI cable. We've got some screws for some upgrades. If you want to put in a drive in here, you can do. We've got our mounting plate for our monitor, our cable, which is going to be depending on what country you're from. This is the UK. And we've got our user manual here and the actual mini PC itself. So let's take a closer look. This is the 11th gen Intel i5 1135G7, 2.4 gigahertz, maxing out to 4.2 gigahertz. It also supports the Intel Iris Xe GPU 130 megahertz. On the front of the device, we do have that Thunderbolt 4 input there, and we also have two USB 3.0 ports on there, the reset button and our audio input here. There is a bit of ventilation up the top there for cooling, and we'll take a look at that a little bit later on. Nothing on this side. And there is also nothing on this side either. There is a fingerprint sensor on the top with your power button if you want to use that. And on the back, we do have that exhaust area here with two USB 3.0 ports. And also we have a HDMI port and also a display port, which is your DP port, 1 gigabit Ethernet LAN port on there. Also a DC 19 volt input there. And we have our Kensington lock on here as well. This does support Wi-Fi 6 and also Bluetooth 5.2 support. It does have Dolby Atmos DTS audio on this one. And on the bottom, you can see here, we do have a bit of ventilation there and also that mounting area there where you can mount it to a monitor. Inside here, we have room for an SSD storage. So if you need that extra storage, you can put an SSD in here. I think it takes up to 2 terabytes. I couldn't find no information on it, but it should be around about there that you should be able to put in here. Inside the unit itself, you can see we have that sealed compartment here. There is the cable which you'll need for that SSD, which is tucked in up the top. Down here we have some ADATA memory, which is 16 gigabytes, 2400 megahertz in speed, but it does go up to 64 gigabytes. And also we have that 512 gigabyte NVMe drive on here. And there is your cable here for your SSD. So pretty compact here. And we'll just put it through its paces and see how this one fares. But you've got some good quality components inside of this one. So let's go ahead and take a look at the stock temps here. This is straight out the box. I've just turned it on and you can see idle is from 54 Celsius and it jumps up to 65 Celsius. And I'm not sure why that's jumping like that, but you might be able to stabilize that a little bit more. But it is a bit jumpy and it does jump around a little bit, the temperatures here. And these are just the stock idle temps that I like to show you before we go into the benchmarks, before the actual unit gets really hot. Anyway, let's get on with the benchmarks. We'll do the NVMe drive first, and you can see the sequential reads and write. The reads are 2,542 with 1,813 for the writes. You can see it's the Tiger Lake U, and it is also max TDP 35 watts. And you can go through here. And we can also see the memory inside here. And we already know what memory is inside, but it is DDR4 2666. And that is also a data memory inside here. Go to graphics here and you can see the Iris Xe graphics. And we'll go to the bench here and we'll do a quick stress test on the CPU to see what the thermals are like. So let's go ahead and push the stress CPU here. Now what we're looking for here is to see how the mini PC reacts to a stress test like this, and if it's got good enough adequate cooling, it should start to cool the CPU down and stop it going into the red. But it's actually gone 100 Celsius here, which means it's thermal throttling, and it's now starting to get the packet ring thermals going right up, and it has gone red here. We're 100 Celsius here and it's maxed out. Now because thermal throttling has kicked in, you can see the core temperature has now dropped to 81 Celsius. And that means the processing power has gone right the way down to try and protect the CPU. So it maxed out 100 Celsius, then the thermal throttling kicked in, and then it dropped right down. So let's stop this test and move on to the next one. So let's go ahead and quickly try another test here. I'm going to run the CPU stress test again, and you can see the power draw here. I want to look at the power draw and we've got 49.5 here, and then we start hitting the red 100 Celsius on all the cores here, and you should see the power drop right the way down here, and then you'll see the temperatures come down. So it's starting to thermal throttle in a second, and we should see the power draw drop. There, power drops down now to 29 and 31, and the CPU is now running at 85 to 86 Celsius, and it's thermal throttling. So that's what we're getting on the CPU right there. And the power has now dropped to 31.9 watts. So that's what happens when we put that under stress test. Let's go ahead and do Geekbench 6 here, and we'll do a quick benchmark here. And you can already see the thermal throttle is kicking in here on here. And we've also hit the core's power limit on there as well. And the ring thermal has gone red as well. So I like to do this test when I'm running Geekbench to see whether we get any problems. And you can see just by running this benchmark, we're having issues here. But the score is 1,934 on the single core, and on the multi-core, 5,914. So that is for Geekbench. And also we're doing the GPU, which is 11,607 for the OpenCL score. Now, video playback looks pretty seamless. There's no issues. There's no jerkiness. And I can skip this here, and it should be pretty instant. So if you're looking for something that wants to play 4K movies and things like that, you should have no problems. These are really taxing files to play, and it's pretty smooth playback. And you're not going to get any thermal issues when you're doing things like this. But when you're doing hardcore taxing stuff like gaming, you'll probably end up hitting thermal throttling and things like that. Cinebench, I'm pretty sure this is going to really cause it some problems, and it's going to start going into the red. Immediately, you can see straight into some sort of meltdown here with lots of red showing up on there. And that's never a good thing. I mean, TJ Maxx is hitting 5 Celsius and 6 Celsius, which is not good. That is really bad. And we'll run Cinebench and let it finish, and you're getting 5,162 points on the Cinebench here. Now, this is quite a difficult test to run for these mini PCs, but a lot of mini PCs I have run this on have had no issues at all. Now, I did run 3D Mark Time Spy, and I got 1,424 score on this CPU. There was some thermal throttling going on. Also, I did Night Raid score, which is for your GPU, and that got 12,870. And also, again, we did get into some sort of thermal issues with that while it was running. So that is the 3D Mark out the way. If you want to run 4K movies just like this one, it doesn't have any sort of major problems with frame drops or anything like that. There's a few frame drops at the beginning, but then it stabilizes and you have no problems at all. And you should be able to do all your 4K playback just like this. If you want to do some light gaming from the Microsoft Play Store or retro games, you should be okay, and you shouldn't have any issues with it with thermal throttling or anything like that, because it is pretty light work. If you're looking for any sort of editing or any sort of real taxing things, then I would avoid this mini PC altogether, because you are going to have thermal problems. And you can see here there was no thermal issues when playing that lightweight game there. But again, you wouldn't be able to play any sort of Steam games without any sort of major problems. And some of these might be able to be fixed. Some of these issues might be able to be fixed with some of the undervolting and things like that. So how much does it cost? Well, it costs £370.90, but there is a £30 voucher that you can apply to it. Would I recommend you buy this mini PC? It's probably the worst mini PC that I have reviewed, in all honesty. And I would avoid it, because there is some better ones out there that you can buy. The whole design and the whole look of it is actually really nice. I do like the build quality, but the thermals is a real big turn off for me, and I really wouldn't advise people buy it for that particular reason. Now, it could be that this particular ACEMAGICIAN TK11A0 is faulty, and it might be having issues. And like I always say, I pride myself on my honesty and showing you exactly all of the results when I'm benchmarking and testing these things, because I don't want to recommend people buy things if I can see things like this happening when I'm reviewing. I want to give you my honest opinion. Anyway, with that said, my name has been Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Just want to say a quick shout out to my YouTube members. I appreciate the support, and I shall catch you in the next one. Bye for now.